Let's go! Today we're answering a blatantly obvious question. Is KJ Jefferson the best quarterback in the SEC going into next season? And the answer is a resounding yes. And he's not only the best QB this year, he was the overall most valuable player last year in the entire Southeastern Conference. And today we're going to tell you why. And welcome back to Power Hour SEC. We hope you subscribe and ring the bell. And today we're going to take a look at the overall quarterback landscape in the Southeastern Conference. So there are some wise people out there that already rank KJ Jefferson number one. That includes Steve Lasson at Athlon Sports. There he is. He has KJ Jefferson as the number one quarterback. And to me, my favorite SEC personality, I'm a little bit biased because I have gotten to know him, SEC Stat Cat of On3, my buddy Clark, also has KJ Jefferson as the number one SEC returning quarterback. And what you're looking at here right now is the list of his overall top 10, and really none of these names come close to me to KJ Jefferson. Maybe Jaden Daniels, and remember, I'm actually an LSU YouTuber. I love Jaden Daniels. He's personally my favorite quarterback on this list, but him as a passer still needs some developing. But as a runner, he is without reasonable doubt the best in all of college football. And KJ, of course, is also a good runner himself, as is Joe Milton. But overall, if you put together the entire package, KJ Jefferson is indeed him. And if we were going to take this one step further, there would not have even been this discussion of whether or not Sam Pittman is a good coach if KJ Jefferson did not exist at all for Arkansas. Because, as many Razorback fans know, Arkansas last year played a brutal schedule. Now, I know every SEC team plays a tough schedule, but Arkansas really had no bye weeks at all when it comes to these win-and-win kind of games. Their non-conference schedule consisted of BYU, Cincinnati, Liberty, and a Missouri State team coached by Bobby Petrino, who's now at Texas A&M. And as Arkansas fans can attest, none of those games came easy, right? Missouri State gave Arkansas quite a scare, and KJ really pushed them through. He only had one INT in that game, and it wasn't his fault. The ball hit the receiver in his hands, and it was picked. So, honestly, this guy, if, let's say, Arkansas's backup quarterback situation, which was a mess, let's say either Cade Fortin or Malik Hornsby was the starter last year, Arkansas is probably winning at best 4 games, and that's if everything went perfectly. They're more than likely a 2 or 3 win team, and last year, of course, Arkansas ended up winning 6, including a thrilling bowl game versus Kansas, and as many of you know, KJ Jefferson pushed them through. So when it comes to being the most valuable player to his team last year, Bryce Young is a better quarterback. You can argue some other names were better quarterbacks than KJ Jefferson last year. He was the most valuable, and it wasn't really close. Bam! I'm looking at you. Yes, you right now. So, a few of you actually sent this to me, knowing that I am a big KJ Jefferson and Jaden Daniels fan, okay? And as you can see, neither one of them are on this list from 247 when it comes to quarterbacks that could win the Heisman. And what's interesting, they didn't even have KJ Jefferson in their top 10. In fact, 247, Brad Crawford had KJ Jefferson as the 15th best quarterback coming back next year in all of college football. I don't have a problem with not listing him as a potential Heisman favorite because Arkansas's team next year isn't going to be great, and you got to have a great team to win a Heisman Trophy. So I think Jaden Daniels deserves to be on this graphic because LSU looks to have a really good team next year, but I'm fine with KJ Jefferson not being mentioned in the Heisman hype. What I am not okay with, though, is not having him at least a top 10 quarterback coming back next year. In fact, there are only three quarterbacks I'm taking over KJ Jefferson going into next year. That is Drake May, that is Caleb Williams, and Jordan Travis. I'm a little bit higher on Jordan Travis than most, as you can tell. I know Bo Nix and Michael Penix were very interesting players after their transfers to their new schools. Even Jaden Daniels could be in this conversation here. But the truth is, KJ Jefferson does more for his team than anybody does for their own respective teams. And I am pretty comfortable in saying that. So, for me, KJ deserves the respect that he merits. And, I did a lot of KJ content over the past couple years, and Arkansas fans have really responded well to my SEC videos. I do want to show you this. Boom! Looking at you again, making sure you are still awake, okay? Now, this is going to sound like a hot take, but it's not really. 2022 KJ might have been the best single season from any Arkansas quarterback. Now, I know that last Brandon Allen year was really good with Dan Enos. More on him in just a second. Quinn Grovey obviously is in that conversation. Prime Matt Jones, and so on and so on. So, Arkansas fans, feel free to correct me down below. But what I wanted to show you was KJ really only had one abysmal game, and that, of course, was against Liberty. But, I like to use QBR right over here. As you can see, 34.9, by far his worst QBR of the season. He had 32.2 versus Missouri State, but once again, that interception really hurt that, and it wasn't his fault. The Liberty game, he played hurt, right? He didn't even practice leading up to the game, so he probably shouldn't even have played, and I think the only game he missed was the LSU matchup, and obviously you saw what happened there. The backups really stunk up the joint, and LSU still almost lost that game. So maybe if KJ plays, that changes it. I still think LSU finds a way to win, but that's not here nor there. What I will show you, though, is this season was truly spectacular, and I think one thing that is really hard to do is play a full quarterbacking season where there wasn't at least one game where you just flat out stunk. And healthy KJ versus every Power 5 team he played last year wasn't just good, he was fantastic. Now, the Alabama game, a 50.3 QBR, go put on the film. Receivers weren't getting open, and he made some Herculean plays in that game really to get Arkansas back into it. So, honestly, I think KJ's season last year was very underrated, especially on a national scale. And there was a piece of me that wondered if he was actually going to go to the NFL. I think he ended up making a good decision. This QB class is very deep, especially when you just account for SEC QBs. And next year's QB class, after Drake May and Caleb Williams, is wide open. So he could very well be a first-round quarterback next year. But let's just do a little bit of devil's advocate here for Arkansas's Superman as far as things working against him. Number one, obviously, Arkansas has yet another brutal schedule, but I do think it could be a little bit more favorable this year. They have 4 games away from DWR, sandwiched right in the middle of the season, and then it is backloaded with a lot of home games. So you start off with 2 easy non-Power 5s or 2 relatively easy non-Power 5s. I do think there are more certain wins, and you end the year with 3 home games. And honestly, you end the year with a lot of SEC teams like Florida and Auburn that have big question marks at quarterback and some new coaches and coordinators mixed in there. I do think this schedule is a little bit easier than Arkansas's last year schedule. So, however, it is still very difficult. Also working against KJ Jefferson is that he does have a new offensive coordinator. Now, Dan Enos is very well respected. It's not like he's just been sitting on the couch. He has been Maryland's offensive coordinator. He now reunites with Sam Pittman. But Kendall Briles, I know this is going to sound like a hot take, but I had him consistently in my top 5 play callers in the SEC. Yes, he would get too cute, in particular in the red zone, but he honestly unlocked a lot of creative play calls for KJ to really showcase his talent. So, obviously, the new OC. And then a little bit of an undertold story was how good Matt Landers was for Arkansas last year. And he has surged up some draft boards lately because of his athleticism. But honestly, he was just very good. I know his numbers weren't, Super Saiyan, if you will, but they were still pretty solid. So does Arkansas develop a deep threat? Does Isaiah Satania step up? We should see. He does get Rocket Sanders back, but he's got to have guys he could throw the football to and guys that can win on the outside. So very interesting dilemmas, as this is a very pressured-packed year for Sam Pittman. Now you're taking a look at how I actually rank the quarterbacks from top to bottom. This is just my top 5 as of right now, but I'm going to give you one sleeper who played better towards the end of the season, has some sneaky dual threat ability, and that is Brady Cook. Now, I believe he is banged up for the spring, but I do think he ends up winning this Missouri job, and he returns as a starter, and I think he is sneaky good. I don't think he is special, but he is better than advertised. So you guys comment down below. Am I overlooking Spencer Rattler, who had that ridiculous 2-game stretch last year? Who is the QB1? If I were to pick one to win the Heisman, it would be Jaden Daniels, but just let me know, okay? Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, am I sleeping on Alabama? Am I sleeping on Carson Beck? I am very interested in your thoughts, okay? It is Power Hour. I hit the mic. SEC, boom! And floating in your face right now is why Auburn should lobby to not play Georgia anymore. And tonight, we're doing salmon. Let's go!